All right. Uh, One thing I forgot to mention when we were going over the syllabus was cell phones. Keep it on silent or vibrate. You don't have to cut it all the way off or anything, but I just don't have it go off during class since we're recording and trying to do stuff, and you know just don't be on it the whole time during class either. But all right, so what I want to do first, since we've had a couple of days since our last class, I'm going to run through the 143 conversion notes one more time, and then we'll start looking at the Conversion Lab 2. Don't forget that the Conversion Lab 1 is due tomorrow night for this class. For my late starts, they haven't seen it yet. They're not going to see it till tomorrow. So they have a separate due date for that. Actually, no, it's the same. Yeah, because they've got two things going. I can't keep track of anything anymore. Okay, so we talked about the unit fraction, how it works, how you get out of one unit into another unit using that, and the trick to it being that if you look diagonally, you should be able to cancel out the unit that you're trying to leave diagonally and then get to the one you're trying to get to up in the top. And when you've reached that, you've gotten as far as you need to go. Sometimes it's as easy as that. Sometimes they are a little bit more involved. And we saw one where you had to go all the way from miles per hour to feet per second. So we started with just like a unit conversion or a single unit conversion and went to a unit rate conversion or a dual unit conversion, to where sometimes you have a top and a bottom unit that you have to convert. On this one here, since the bottom units were the same, we didn't have to mess with it. It was already in the bottom, so we were good there. But with this one, with the 60 miles per hour to feet per second, we had to change the miles to feet, then come back and get the hours and change it to seconds. So there was that. Then we kind of changed gears to some formulas, talked about unit rates. Now, again, one of the most commonly missed questions for Conversions Lab 1 are the unit rate questions, because folks have historically read a question like this that said 8 ounces for $2.16 and divided it upside down, divided the 8 by the $2.16, and it caused them to miss it. It's always the price divided by the quantity, price divided by the quantity. Sometimes for these questions, the quantity is, ounces if you're looking at like a single bottle or a single container. Sometimes you have several bottles. If that's the case, then do it by bottle instead of ounce. If you do that one by ounce, you'll have to multiply by the bottles and you're adding more work. We talked about Kelvin for temperature. So, Fahrenheit 0 is well below freezing on Fahrenheit, right? Because freezing for Fahrenheit is 32, and it goes from like 32 to 212, I think. Celsius is a little bit more simple. It's 0 to 100. Kelvin's 0 point is negative 273.15, super, super cold. And so we had these formulas here. We didn't really do any examples with these because they're pretty much just plug it in and run it. Make sure, though, one thing I forgot to go over, if you have, let's make sure cell phones are on silent or vibrate. One thing is the fraction. So if you have this calculator here, has anybody, the TI-30X2S, has anybody ever not put fractions into this before? So you're familiar with the ABC, is everybody familiar with the ABC button? So let me switch my camera here just a minute. Okay, so on the calculator, about 3 buttons above the 7 is the ABC button. So if you're going to put in this Kelvin formula that says Fahrenheit to Kelvin, 5/9 times F minus 32 plus 273.15, for the 5/9 you would hit 5, then the ABC button, then the 9, and then you would just do the rest of it that way. But of course you'd have to do order of operations first, so take care of your parentheses, then do your multiplying. So there's that. Just something I forgot because Everybody's rusty the first day. Converting money. Didn't really do that too much because for the Conversions Lab 2, as far as like converting money that we have, it's pretty straightforward. I've tried not to overcomplicate it, and I've got some examples in here from the first time I taught this class that are a little bit complicated, so we're just going to try to avoid that. So that was just a real quick, really quick run through of all the notes that we covered on the Conversion Lab 1 video last week. All right. Oh, if you need the nautical miles and barrels, again, please, with the barrels, be careful. There are two different types of barrel. Petroleum is 42, water is 31 for the purposes that we use. The chart itself says non-petroleum barrel. So if it's not oil, it's 31 gallons. If it is oil, it's 42. And we've had a lot of folks in the past that have messed those up, so please be careful. Then there's the conversion chart. You are definitely going to need the conversion chart today. All right, you're going to need the conversion chart for Conversions Lab 2. So if you have the hard copy, you can pull it out, or if you just want to pull up the digital copy, that's fine. I still haven't got my big one remounted to the wall yet. We're having trouble getting some stuff to stay put in here. As you can see, some of our sound panels already fell down. I was kind of hoping they would stay, but the glue gave out. Okay, again, here is the folder for previous video lessons dealing with Conversions Lab 2. Okay, so that is available to you. It's a big old shot of my head there. Okay, this is where you'll find your student copy, Conversions Lab 2, Critical Thinking Lab 1, Traveling Sales Rep. I forgot to put on there that it was a student copy. I'll try to get that fixed, but if in case I don't, you know, here is the student, that's running slow, student copy. All right, that's where that is. And we'll try to get to that today if we can. All right, now, with the critical thinking labs, they're not just a worksheet full of problems like Conversions Lab 1 was. You know, Conversions Lab 1, it was technically called like a skills practice, and that's what it was. Here's the problem, you know, run your unit fraction, things like that. These are scenarios or word problems where you're given some information and you got to figure it out. Now, the sample scenario, the way that I've got it set up is it's very similar to the actual lab that you're going to have to do. So as we go through this, you know, jot some stuff down, take some notes, and make sure that you're keeping up with this. This is a PowerPoint, so if you want to go ahead and open that up on your computer so that you can kind of follow along with it. Okay. All right. So this is Conversions Lab 2. It's your first critical thinking lab, and it's called the Traveling Sales Rep. All right. So what we're going to be looking at is unit conversions, dual unit conversions, or in other words, we call them a unit rate conversion. Need to find my little stylus. Here it is. And then, of course, we've got currency conversions, but we're going to try to keep those pretty simple, make them not too difficult. All right. So here's the setup, okay? You're a Little Debbie distributor. You have 2 towns to travel to each day before returning home, and you make sales in all 3. So that means you have to stop in all 3. You live in Murphy. Your route takes you to Hayesville, then to Andrews, then home. It's 15 miles from Murphy to Hayesville, 25 miles from Hayesville to Andrews, and 16 from Andrews to Murphy. And those are just, you know, approximations. So the plot twist is something comes up in every town that you go to, and you have to rent a new vehicle in each new town. So let's say you got a flat tire in Hayesville and the wheels fell off in Andrews. All right, it happens, unfortunately. Okay, so 3 cities, 3 cars. Each different car gets different gas mileage, and the speedometers on all three vehicles, for some reason, are in kilometers per hour. Maybe they all had to have a new battery and it reset. Who knows? You know, weird things happen when you take a battery out and replace it. Your car gets 15 kilometers per liter. The car that you got in Hayesville gets 20 kilometers per liter, and the one that you get in Andrews gets 12 kilometers per liter. Gas is $3.05 per gallon, which for being a 2 or 3 year old problem, that's pretty close to what it is now, so that's not bad. Speeds. From Murphy to Hayesville, you drive 89 kilometers per hour. Hayesville to Andrews, 72, and Andrews to Murphy, you go 97. In your haste, you grabbed the debit card that was set to pesos instead of dollars, and you'll need to convert on the fly to know how much you need. Right now, you checked that $1 is 18.88 pesos. All right. We're going to, in a minute, we're going to come back and get all this information off of here and write it down again, because there is no way that you can remember all this after seeing it one time. You're going to have to keep jumping back and forth. So the directions for this, you make the necessary conversions using the conversion factors provided, as well as the ones that are on the Moodle chart and on page 78, the page 78 chart from the textbook, to answer each of the 4 questions to the best of your ability. With each new question that pops up, well, of course, this is back when I had an hour and a half to do this. I was letting people have 10 minutes to work on it, so ignore that part there. We're not going to be able to do that. I keep forgetting to take that out. Yeah, so we're just going to go through it together, okay? All right, so before we do that, let's back up, and we're going to get this information starting all the way back from here, and we're going to throw it up on the whiteboard, okay? So the first thing we need to know, this is Conversions Lab 2 / Critical Thinking Lab 1. Because when I made these, I initially named it that, and I didn't realize how confusing that would be. Okay, so distances. All right, so go ahead and jot those down. All right, and I'm going to abbreviate these to kind of save some room. So we'll start with Murphy to Hayesville. Murphy to Hayesville is 15 miles. All right, so just kind of jot this down on your note paper somewhere so that you can have it to refer back to. Hayesville to Andrews is 25, and Andrews to Murphy is 16. And make sure that you write down the unit, all right? That is a big part of this whole lesson, is moving between units, right? So Murphy to Hayesville is 15, Hayesville Andrews 25, Andrews to Murphy is 16. And these are approximations. Somebody's going to watch this video and they're going to see that those are not entirely accurate. Yeah, probably not. I just kind of rounded up on some of these things. Okay, so each different car gets different gas mileage, okay? So gas mileage, okay? So the first car that you take from Murphy to Hayesville got 15 kilometers per liter. The second car that you had to take from Hayesville to Andrews got 20. And the one that you got in Andrews to go home got 12. All right, so there's our mileage. Let's do this. Let's say gas mileage at $3.05 per gallon, because that's going to be important too. All right, next we've got our speeds. All right, so our speed from Murphy to Hayesville was 89 kilometers per hour. From Hayesville to Andrews, it was 72 kilometers per hour. And from Andrews to Murphy, it was 97 kilometers per hour. All right, one last thing for our currency. My handwriting still hasn't caught up with the rest of me. So currency, we have $1 being equal to 18.88 pesos. Okay. I'll give you a minute to finish getting that copy down, or if you need to get a picture of it with your phone as well. All right, that looks good. Okay, so our first part, or our first question says, what is the total distance in kilometers? Okay, now, you could go about this one of two ways, okay? If you took all three of these miles and added them up, and then converted that total to kilometers, yes, you would get the correct answer for number 1. However, when we get to number 2, when we talk about gas mileages, you're going to be at a disadvantage because you don't know how many kilometers it was from town to town. So the best thing to do is to convert them individually into kilometers, then add the kilometers up that way. Does that make sense? So what I mean is, like if we're looking at it, so our first one, we've got Murphy to Hayesville. That looks like Andrews. Good grief. Okay, well that ain't wanting to move. Nothing's wanting to work. Fantastic. Okay. Okay, so Murphy to Hayesville. All right, we know that that is 15 miles, right? All right, good. Now, I'm going to clear that off just for a minute to pull up our conversion chart. So I should have that downloaded here somewhere. Yep, there it is. Okay. All right. So, we know that we are in miles, right? Which means that we want to put miles on the bottom of our conversion chart, and we want to put the kilometers in the top. So, we're going to use this one right here on the conversion chart. 1 mile is 1.609 kilometers. Now, that's not to say that if you were to use 1 kilometer is 0.0621 miles that you wouldn't get an accurate answer. You would just have to divide instead of multiply. And multiply, everybody likes multiplying better, so we're going to try to just stick with that. Okay? So we're going to use this one here. 1 mile is 1.609 kilometers. So let's go back to the spreadsheet or the PowerPoint. There we go. Okay. Whoop. All right. So now it looks like an exclamation mark. I can't get anything right on this thing. So we're at 15 miles. From the conversion chart, we know that 1 mile is 1.609 kilometers. Okay? So you'll just have to multiply 15 times 1.609, and you'll have that amount. Before we do that, though, let's go ahead and get the rest of it set up. So Hayesville to Andrews is 25 miles. All right, so that's going to make the 25 miles in the top, 1 mile in the bottom, and 1.609 kilometers in the top of that. Then the last one, Andrews to Murphy, is 16 miles. Okay. So if you do 1 mile, 1.609 kilometers, whoop, it's getting a little droopy there. All right, now we're ready to multiply all these. Okay, so if we do, so first one, do 15 times 1.609, and what did you get? 15 times 1.609. Yeah, if you miss a couple of digits, it'll give you a weird number. Think you got it?
Maybe. I got 24.14.
Okay. 24.14 or 24.135. Those are the correct.
Do I need to round up or?
Well, that's always a gray area with this one because it doesn't specifically say where to round it to or where not to. I will say this, the more decimal places that you take it out to, the closer your answer will be. So like if I punch this in the calculator and it gives me exactly that, I'm just going to throw that in there. But if you want to make it 14, it should be fine, and you should still get close enough to the correct answers. Yeah. So that's going to be 24.135 kilometers. And again, we set it up this way to cancel out of miles and get into kilometers. So there's the first one. So we're going to do it again for the second one, but instead of 15, we're going to use 25. So do 25 times 1.0 or 1.609 rather, and tell me what you get.
40.225.
40.225. All right, everybody get 40.225? Hope so. Oops.
I didn't mind the other way where you divide. I got 40.3.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, since that chart is from a separate source than the textbook, yeah, and that's like that one example that's in the notes where if you did the 1.609, you got something like 6.0005, but if you did the one on the bottom, it was 6.0005. It's close enough. It's negligible. And that's kind of like what he was saying, like if you were to round this to 24.14, that's not wrong. It's just you'll have to look at it as what is my answer the closest to. Same thing with that if you did it on the bottom.
Yeah.
If you like that better, go right ahead.
I don't with the conversion chart that I have open doesn't have it listed like that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, if you pull up the one in that big spreadsheet looking one, it should be towards the top of the middle section. Yeah. But in the textbook, yeah, it might be something completely different.
How old is the textbook?
Old. I want to say that I think they said 2010. I think, and the reason why we haven't like upgraded it is because nothing really changed. The chapters are still in the same place. All they did was, you know, update the pictures to be more current and change a couple of examples to have like more modern technology or whatever. And we use it so infrequently, I just said, I just let it go. It's a fallback in case somebody wants to use it. All right, so 16 times 1.609, what do you get?
25.744.
Good. And hopefully if you divide it instead of multiplied, it's something close to that.
I got 25.8.
Yep, that's close enough. Yeah, good. Okay, so for the answer to number one, what is the total distance in kilometers? You're just going to take all three of these and add them up.
I got 90.11, but I did round up before I...
Okay, so we've got 90.11, or if you didn't round up, what would it be? Should be close to that. 90.104. Yeah, see, it's such a negligible difference that it's not going to hurt anything. Yep. All right. Since I did 3 digits on all these, I'll just keep this one for now. But if you want to use 11, it shouldn't hurt a thing in this world. Good. And see now, since you have these 3 individual distances in kilometers, you can use those for the other questions. Why can't I keep track of a marker? There we go. Okay, so we got those in miles. So Murphy to Hayesville for kilometers was 24.135 kilometers. Hayesville to Andrews is 40.225 kilometers. And then Andrews to Murphy is 25.744 kilometers. I do apologize for my very, very poor handwriting. I always say it could be worse. It could be my brother's handwriting. He puts the spaces between the letters and not the words. So yeah, that's it looks like a robot wrote it. Okay, anybody need to grab a picture of this or jot it down in your notes, or is everybody good? Okay, good deal. Let's move on to the next question then. The next question says, how many pesos will you need to cover gas for the whole trip? Okay. Number 2 and number 4 are the 2 biggest questions in this lab in terms of how much work it takes. Okay? So we know from what it told us that $1 is 18.88 pesos. That comes in at the very, very end. All right, very, very end. So what we do is this. We have kilometers for our distances. We have kilometers per liter for our gas mileages. We have $3.05 per gallon, and we have to eventually get to 18.88 pesos. Okay? So what we have to do for this is we have to go kilometers to liters to gallons to dollars. Yeah, hold on. That was going so well too. Stupid computer. To gallons to dollars to pesos. Okay? Now I don't know if that's still an accurate conversion as far as the pesos. That's just what it was at the time I wrote this scenario up. So we've got to convert all this. Now, each car has separate gas mileages. So that's why I had you do the individual distances, because the 24.135 kilometers goes with the 15 kilometer per liter gas mileage, you know, and so on. So we're going to have to do it individually anyway on this one, so it's good to just go ahead and set it up that way on number 1. All right, so let's start with Murphy to Hayesville, and hopefully I won't run out of room here. Okay, and I'm going to try to take this a little bit slower than the last one. So Murphy to Hayesville, we've got 24.135 kilometers that we're going to start with, right? Okay, now according to the little key I made up here, we've got to go from kilometers to liters, all right? Now I realize that this says 15 kilometers over 1 liter essentially, right? Well, since I've already got kilometers in the top, I'm actually going to write this upside down. Okay, I'm going to put 15 here, and I'm going to put 1 in the top. Because the way our unit fraction works best is whatever unit we're currently looking for, it's best if it shows up in the top. And the one that we're trying to get out of needs to go in the bottom. So for now, we are out of kilometers, and we're in liters. Okay? Now, we have to get out of liters and into gallons. Okay? Out of liters and into gallons. So for now, I'm just going to clear this off. Okay? I'm going to try not to write too much on this. But let's go back to the conversion chart. Okay? We have two options. Okay? Option one, we have 1 gallon is 3.78 liters, or we have 1 liter is 0.26 gallons. Okay, so we can use either one of those. So let's go back here. Let's put that back up. All right. Now, again, just me thinking, just me talking. I like to try to have as many ones in the bottom as possible. Okay, so if I'm going to do that, I could put 1 liter in the bottom again and put 0.26 gallons up in the top. But the first time that I did this, for those examples that I've got in Moodle, I did it with this one. 1 gallon is 3.78 liters. So I will let y'all decide. Do you want to put the 1 in the top or the 1 in the bottom? The difference is the more ones there are in the bottom, the less dividing you have to do.
We should do the 1 in the bottom because I already wrote that in.
You already wrote it in and you're using the pen. Shame on you. No pens in math.
Oh.
I get it. No, that's all right. It's fine. It's fine. You know what you signed up for when you start doing math with a pen.
Yeah.
All right, so that'll work. So we'll put 1 liter here and 0.26 gallons there. Good. So now we are out of liters and we're in gallons. Okay? Now, we have to go from gallons to dollars. We've got that up here beside the gas mileage. Okay? 1 gallon is $3.05. So I'm going to put 1 gallon here and then $3.05 there. So now we are out of gallons and we're in dollars. But we're not done yet. We've got to go one more column over. We've got to go from dollars to pesos. And we've got over here, underneath our currency, $1 is 18.88 pesos. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that $1 in the bottom because the rule about these unit fractions, unit conversions, is when you get the unit you want in the top, you stop. Okay. Now, so to finish this off, just to show where everything went, anything that has a 1, I'm not going to bring it over. You don't need it. It's not going to affect anything. Okay? So in the top, you've got 24.135 times 0.26 times 3.05 times 18.88. Kind of slid off there. And on the bottom, you're just, after you multiply all that, you're going to divide it by, for the love of Pete. You're going to divide it by 15. And then that's going to give you how many pesos it is. All right? So if you want to go ahead and double check that and throw that in there. So it's going to be, again, 24.135 times 0.26 times 3.05 times 18.88. Then divide that by 15. So you're looking at, I got 24.09 pesos. I think if you did it with the other liter conversion, it was a little bit more than that, but it should be fine. Okay. So there's one of them. You got to do it 2 more times because you've got to do Hayesville to Andrews with that car. Then you got to do Andrews to Hayesville with that car. All right?
But it's just the same thing except for the first number?
The first one and the second one.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
you got to change your distance and you got to change your mileage. Yeah. So on the second one, we go Hayesville to Andrews. So that distance is 40.225 kilometers. And then that car that you used for that one got 20 kilometers per liter. So yeah, once you've got those two things changed, the rest of it should just fall right in. Yeah. So that means that the third column is going to say 0.26 gallons over 1 liter. The fourth column is going to say $3.05 over 1 gallon. And then the last column is going to say 18.88 pesos over $1. And so what happens is kilometers to kilometers, liters to liters, gallons to gallons, dollars to dollars, and you're left with pesos again. So now on the cleanup, again, the only thing that's going to change is your first number in the top and the number that you divide by. So your top is going to say 40.225 times 0.26 times 3.05 times 18.88 divided by 20. And we'll see what that gets us. I got 30.11. Did y'all get that too? Yeah. Okay, good. So make sure I didn't hit the wrong button somewhere. All right, and then the third one, go even quicker. Well, no, about the same as the second one actually. So Andrews to Murphy, the distance 25, it didn't write well, but we'll just leave it. 25.144 kilometers. Where did I put? Did I hit the wrong thing? Oh. Okay, 12 kilometers on the bottom, 1 liter on the top. Oh, a 7, yeah, that's what you meant. Okay, yeah. I'm too close to it, or that, or I can't read my own handwriting, which is also entirely possible. Happens more than I would like it to, but is what it is. So 305 over 105 over 1 gallon, and then $1, 18.88 pesos. Okay. So to get it compiled, we've got 25.744 times 0.26 times 305 times 18.88 divided by 12. All right. And we'll see what we come out with on that one. I got 32.12 if you round it like money. Okay. Now, to finish this one off, and don't forget, because after you've done all this work, it's easy to forget that the question was asking about the whole trip. Okay? So you're going to take the 2409, the 30.11, and the 32.12 and add those three up. So 24.09 plus 30.11 plus 32.12. I got 86.32. Okay. Definitely make sure that you've got that added to your notes. Okay. Now we've ran short on time, so what we're going to do on Wednesday is we will look at examples questions 3 and 4, and then we will look at your lab. And then we'll get that taken care of. And then on Monday, we're not here on Monday, are we?
No, you're just not on time.
Second is Labor Day, right? Yeah, okay. So that means then that depending on how much time we have left on this Wednesday, if we don't have any time left this Wednesday, next Wednesday we're going to be doing test review. Okay? Now, that being said, the test will open on the 2nd. Okay? If you think that you're good to take it, go ahead. Although I would highly recommend that you wait till we at least meet on Wednesday to go over any questions that you might have. Yes, sir.
We're looking over the lab in class, like the one that we did.
Well, the one that's due tomorrow, yeah, we can answer some questions about that after it's due. I don't want to answer any while it's still open.
Well, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I didn't know we were looking over.
Yeah, we can look over. We'll probably.
The second one.
Yeah, we'll probably wind up looking at both of them actually. At the beginning Wednesday, we'll go over any questions that you had from Conversions Lab 1, and then at the end Wednesday, once we get done going through the next 2 examples, we'll look at that lab so that you can see how it's different but also similar to what we've done here. All right, real quick before I turn you loose, one thing I want to show you. So, like I mentioned earlier, this time we did the 0.26 liters. Or 0.26 gallons for 1 liter. I messed that up right here. Well. Gallons. Yeah. But we got 86.32. Keep that number in mind as we go back to the Moodle page. Okay. So there is what we put for the first one. Now, again, this is what happens if you take all 3 of those distances and add them up and multiply them by 1.609. But you don't get your individual ones. See, and that when I recorded this, or when I took this picture the first time, I let the class figure out how they want to do that one, and then I showed them why on the second one that you need to split it up that way. All right? So for this one, this is how many liters that we got. All right, so this is the way they did it. They said, all right, let's just get how many liters it is, which is 5.76, and then we can take that and multiply it by the gallons and then multiply it by the pesos and everything, and it came out to be 87 point, they got 87.6, we got 86.3, so, you know, close enough. It was another way to do it, but as you can see, this way took a lot more space than the way that I crammed it into. So, I mean, it's, you know, there's more than one way to do it. You don't have to do it all in one big long conversion table. You can split it up like we did on these. You know, this was just a different way to go about it. But, yeah, so when we come in on Wednesday, we will start by going over Conversions Lab 1. If you have any questions about any that you missed on that one, make sure you bring them to class and we'll go over it. But like I said, since I'm recording these, I don't like to go over any of those because you know that there are some folks waiting for the video to see if we went over any of them so they can go back and, cheap out on it, as you will. But yeah, once it's closed, we'll go over those, and then we'll start with question 3. Then we'll do question 3 and 4 off of this. Then we'll look at the Conversions Lab 2 / Critical Thinking Lab 1 and make sure you're well prepared for that. And depending on how much time we have on that Wednesday, if we have any time left after we go over the lab, we'll do a real quick test review, but I'm thinking we're probably going to wait and push that until next Wednesday, since we're not here Monday. I was going to do it Monday, but I always forget about Labor Day. It always sneaks up on me. I don't know why. I get so used to the Monday, Wednesday schedule. There's so many holidays on Mondays. But any questions about the first 2 questions that I showed you here? Okay. All right. Well, y'all did great, and we'll see you on Wednesday.